All right, fabulous. We're live. So, welcome to another 20 questions. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild, which now consists of 5 imprints: Running Wild Rise, Monstrous, Trompe l'Oeil, and Junkyard Rooster. And I am here with the fabulous and incredibly patient Bill Loving. And Bill is a former newspaper reporter and editor at the Los Angeles Times and Minneapolis Star Tribune. He was raised in Baltimore, and he currently lives in Pasadena with his fabulous wife, Rhonda. And his new novel, Blue Earth River, is coming out by us. Actually, it came out by us in May. So I have the honor of sitting here and chatting with Bill about kind of everything. We're great at coming up with questions that are both inane and, well, hopefully fun. So, Bill, how are you?
Great to be here, Lisa. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, so, I'm going to just like jump right into it, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, you bet.
So, what is the very first book you remember reading?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't remember like my first grade reading books at all. I have no recollection of that. The earliest book I could remember was sort of a big children's book called Myths and Legends
Oh,
that my mother was a college English major and a school teacher, so she was always pushing books on me.
mm,
And this one was really cool because it was like a simplified children's version of the Iliad and the Odyssey and Beowulf and Norse mythology and all that cool stuff, which really kind of opened my mind to the whole world of literature as a little kid.
oh, cool. Very cool. And who is your favorite author in general?
Oh, well, that's easy. That would be Louise Erdrich,
Okay.
who I call our greatest living author. Um, I've been a big fan of hers for probably 40 years since her first book, Love Medicine, came
Wow.
out. In that book, it's a novel and linked stories, and she introduces this whole cast of characters, mostly Native Americans in Minnesota and North Dakota, and all
Mm,
those characters keep recurring in most of her 30 novels over the next 40 years, and she builds this entire universe, which is really cool. She's been called the William Faulkner of the Upper Midwest for that reason, and I think she's overdue for a Nobel Prize in Literature. That's just
wow. Oh my gosh, she sounds well, amazing.
Plus, she's the owner of a small independent bookstore in Minneapolis.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, so who do you feel influenced your writing the most?
Well, I'd love to say Louise Erdrich, but I never could write like she does. I mean, she's a poet. Her prose is just magnificent. So I can't say I'm influenced by her as much as I
Mm,
admire her. Probably, I would say Richard Russo,
okay.
especially his early books, the Nobody's Fool trilogy.
Mm,
I just love the way he creates these really deeply flawed screw ups of characters and handles them with such affection and humor and just grace. His grace
wow.
notes, and I strive to create characters like that.
Wow. Um, and what books do you feel have made the biggest impact on you?
Um, I would say probably the first one, first adult book
Mm,
that really changed my life was All the King's Men by
okay.
Robert Penn Warren from the 1940s. I
Mm,
think, like a lot of 20th century literature, it maybe is dated a little bit by today's standards, but I still think it's one of the great examinations of the American character and all of its striving and corruption and people trying to be honorable and do the right thing and
mm,
forced by those in power to make terrible decisions. It's really a great book.
wow. I feel like it reflects our society today.
Absolutely. It's very timely. It's centers on a dictator based on Governor Huey Long of Louisiana, a fictional uh, politician who basically becomes a Southern dictator. So yeah, a lot of
Wow.
parallels there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If there was one book that you could read for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ah, okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one and say a collected works of in one volume of say Shakespeare or Balzac.
Mm.
That way, I would be set for life. I wouldn't have to read anything twice. It would just be the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's great. Are there like any books that you reread regularly, and what are they and why?
Yeah, no, I don't reread books, and the
Mm.
reason is there are too many books in too little time. I've probably read 500 novels in my life, and
Wow.
I'm sure there's another 500 that I want to read.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, I do have one request out there for all novelists: stop writing for a while. Take a couple of years off so I can get caught up.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. Like right now, I'm just getting around to reading The Overstory by Richard Powers, which is
Mhm.
one of the best books I've ever read, and it's 7 years old, and I'm just getting around to it now. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's fabulous. um, so what book would you save if there was a book burning?
Um, I guess the one that comes to mind from book burning would be Fahrenheit 451.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
to save
Yeah.
from a book burning, a book about book burning.
Mhm.
That would be one choice for sure.
And so what inspires you to write Blue Earth River?
Um, Here it is, by the way, Blue Earth River. Um, Probably two things. One was the sense of place. All of my
Mhm.
books have start with a sense of place. My first book, City of Angles, was about Los Angeles in the current day. This book is set in Minnesota, which is a state where I used to live for many years, and it's still, still very much a part of me. And writing a book set there is kind of an homage.
Mhm.
So that's kind of was the germ of it.
Oh, I love it. And is there anybody that you allowed to read your books while you're writing them?
No, actually, not until I finished the first draft.
Mm.
And then I have a very small circle of fellow novelists who we share manuscripts, and they will read the entire manuscript, um, but only then when I'm done with the first draft will I let anyone see it. I mean, I used to when I was first starting out, I used to be in writers groups where
Mhm.
you would submit chapters, and I
Mhm.
found that to be not very helpful at all to have people jumping in on a work in progress just based on one chapter. So
Mhm.
now I wait till the whole thing's done.
No. Oh, that's smart. That is super smart. Absolutely. Now, if you were at a dinner party and there were four seats, who would you invite and why? Anybody you want.
Okay, can they be dead?
Sure.
If I'm going to
What?
bring back to life, four would probably be four from the Algonquin Round Table, the
Mm.
famous literary circle in New York City in the 1920s, like Dorothy Parker and Robert Benchley and George S. Kaufman and Harold Ross, the founder of the New Yorker. I would just
Mhm.
love to see if they're really as witty as their reputation is. I'm sure it'd be a great dinner conversation.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. And what is your drug of choice?
Oh, cold brew in the morning, year round, whether it's cold out or hot out. I'm a cold brew addict.
Okay. All right. Cool. Now, is it like home cold brew or is
Yeah,
it
I make my own. I make my own. I
nice?
steep it overnight in the refrigerator, um, and usually for 48 hours. I'll steep it for 2 nights
Mm.
uh, and pour it over ice, and it's fabulous.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Now I'll have to try it. What book or book series is your guilty pleasure?
A book series? Um, hmm. I guess that's a tough one. I mean, I think about guilty pleasures as like television
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
is kind of my guilty pleasure. Um, I can't think of a book that I think of as a guilty pleasure offhand.
Mm.
Um, TV, something like, for instance, the Great British Baking Show, I consider a guilty pleasure. I say guilty because I'm not really a fan of reality TV, but that show is so darn charming. Um, whenever my wife, whenever my wife and I are trying to find something on streaming and we can't find anything we agree on, that's kind of our default. Let's just watch the British Baking Show.
Oh, I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's so fun. Do you read with music or quiet or some other sound?
I have to have silence. I'm easily distracted. So yeah, I have to have quiet.
And same question in terms of writing. Do you write completely quiet or do you have some kind of background sound?
Same thing. Same thing.
Okay.
I have to tune out the world so I can
Mm,
hear the story unfolding in my brain. Sometimes, even if I'm in a public place like a coffee shop,
mm.
I'll put in my earbuds and turn it on to white noise or
Got
something
it.
to block out the noise.
Oh, I love it. Okay. If you could ask for one thing to change the world, what would it be?
Well, I would say uh, an end to nationalism and ethnic and sectarian
Mm,
rivalry. I mean, I'm obviously a globalist. I know that's not in vogue these days as much, but I just think if we could get rid of nationalistic and ethnic rivalries, the world would be a better place.
yeah. No, I can completely understand that. Um, so do you prefer paperback, ebook, audiobook?
Yeah, definitely printed books on paper. But I have to say, ebooks do have a lot of advantages. You can carry around 100 of them on your device, which is tough to do with printed books. You can also enlarge the font,
Mm.
and you can search, which is really cool. I mean, you get to page 300, right? And there's a
Yeah.
character introduced, and you can't remember where this character came from. So you search it. It takes you back to page 18, where the character was first introduced. So that's
Oh my
kind of a nice feature. And as far as audiobooks, I haven't really gotten into audiobooks yet. That's something I'm kind of looking forward to exploring. I
God.
tend to listen to a lot of music on my earbuds rather than books.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Now, who would you cast as your main characters and why? If this was
Well,
like a TV show or a
yeah, for
film.
Blue Earth River, I have thought about that, and if he
Okay.
was still alive, I definitely would pick Paul Newman, the Paul Newman from Nobody's Fool. Speaking of Richard Russo, but for someone who's still around, maybe Clint Eastwood,
Mm,
the Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino, which is my favorite Clint Eastwood movie by far.
okay, cool. And if you could meet absolutely anybody, who would you meet?
Uh, Well, I guess I have to go back to Louise Erdrich again. I'd love to meet her and talk to her about writing
Mm,
and where the magic comes from. I've been to her bookstore, Birch Bark Books in Minneapolis, several times.
mhm.
She doesn't hang out there, unfortunately, so I haven't had a chance to meet her.
Got it.
But she is something of a hero, so that would be great.
Very cool. Very cool. Describe yourself in 5 words.
Certainly introverted, which is true of a lot of writers. I guess I'm pretty cerebral, pretty progressive,
Mm,
urban, very much a city person. Um, that's four, right?
yeah.
Uh, I guess cultured, maybe. My wife and I really like to support the arts and
Mhm.
theater and film and music and all that stuff. So those would be the five, um, which are all of which together are kind of what a current certain populist political movement in this country would totally disdain. But
Mm.
that's me, yes.
Now, describe your life. 5 words.
I guess same five words.
Okay.
Um, you know, I'm. We live a pretty quiet life, my wife and I. I think
Mhm.
we're both introverted. We spend a lot of time pursuing cultural things,
Mhm.
especially in Pasadena. The Pasadena Playhouse, Pasadena Symphony, things like that.
Mm,
And we do get involved in progressive politics.
mhm.
Um, And so, yeah, I think those personality descriptions are things that I kind of govern how I live my life.
Got it. Okay, cool. I love it. What was your last guilty pleasure?
My last guilty pleasure. Uh, Last time I watched the Great British Baking Show.
Why not?
Uh, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you could write yourself into a novel, would you be the hero or would you be the villain, and
Hmm.
why?
Oh, that's great. I've already done that. As a matter of fact,
Ooh.
uh, my next book, which is out later this year, I'm in it, and I'm the villain. So
Ooh.
yeah, that was a lot of fun, I have to say.
I was gonna say. So what made you say, you know what, I need to be the villain in this?
Well, I don't want to say too much about it because it's not out yet. I don't want to spoil it. But I wanted to write a book that is a commentary on writing books. So
Oh,
I put myself in it and kind of hold myself and maybe all novelists in general up to a little scrutiny.
okay.
I
All
hope
right.
it works. Yeah.
Very cool. Um, is there anyone that you dream you could absolutely work with and why?
I'm pretty much of a loner. That's why
Mm,
this novel writing business, which I came to pretty late in life after almost 30 years in the newspaper business, which is a highly collaborative
mm,
affair to put out a newspaper. I find that just writing a book myself
mm,
is way more rewarding.
mm.
So I kind of would like to stay solo. I can't really think of anyone who I'm dying to work with.
All right. Cool. Um, two truths and a lie.
Okay. I once caddied for a PGA Tour pro golfer.
Okay.
I've never been to Mexico,
Okay.
and it took me 9 years and three colleges to finish my degree.
Wow. I'm gonna guess that you've never been to Mexico's the lie.
That is correct. I was just there a few months ago.
Very cool. Okay. Um, and is there anything else that you'd want to share with our audience?
Well, I would say, which I say a lot, is please support independent authors, independent publishers, independent bookstores. Rage against the machine. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And I guess with that, um, I want to thank you. This has been an
Fantastic.
absolute pleasure. And thank you again for your patience.
Oh,
For
sure. No, it was worth the wait, and this has been a lot of fun. So thank you for
excellent.
having me on.